Over the past 33 years, having a martial arts dojo here in Austin, Texas, I've had so many people come up to me and say, "Hey, what's the best martial art for me or for my kid?" And I think it's kind of the wrong question. It would be like you coming up to me and saying, "Hey, where's the best place to vacation?" And I was like, "Oh, my wife's family is from this small little island in Greece, this little village. It's very quaint and quiet, and it's on the water." And if you think, "I hate flying, I hate the water, I hate small villages," I just gave you the worst idea. So I really think we have to ask a different question. And I think we're all looking for whatever we're doing, we're looking for ourselves, for our kids, for our family, for our loved ones, whoever it is. We're looking for human wellness, human happiness, for to have inner well-being and to thrive in the world with whatever we're doing. So that's what we really want. Plus, in martial arts, we're probably looking for self-defense and all the inner skills, confidence and all that. So if you just look at that, we're looking for this end result. And then there are optimal ways for human beings to think and to move and to function and to breathe, whether you're looking at ancient wisdom as far as inner well-beingness and fulfillment and inner peace, or looking at optimal performance, high achievers, they're common paths. So let's look at martial arts and how do we apply this and looking at a school. I would say the first thing that's really important is teaching methodology. There are different teaching methodologies, and education has shown which teaching methodologies work best for most people. And it's usually this balance of nurturing and empowering and giving high expectations and support with that. Not too high or too low, but finding the right challenges for each person. Now, some teaching methodologies, especially in martial arts, come from the military and are very militant. And so that's great. If someone's looking for a militant style of teaching, then there's probably a perfect school that will do that for you. So looking at the teaching methodology, which also usually represents the instructors, because most likely people are teaching in a way that represents who they are as a human being. So my teaching, for example, at our dojo, it's changed a lot through the years because I started realizing that a certain way of teaching was not that enjoyable for me or for anybody really. It wasn't as empowering. It was more telling people what to do. So we've changed that immensely to a much more nurturing and empowering teaching methodology that works great for us. But again, maybe someone wants a different approach to teaching. So that's really important. And then the teachers are ultimately some kind of role models as far as representing what is being taught. So making sure that the teachers that you're seeing are people that you feel that you can respect and want to learn from or want your family to learn from. And next, let's look at the culture of a school. There's so many different types of cultures. I've trained in them and had different ones I've been involved with. So some more old school kind of are just that sweaty, dirty, kind of tough vibe. And for some people, that is perfect and they love it. And they would hate to be at a dojo that is more, whatever, structured, organized, clean, whatever you want to call it. That is really important. What is the culture you're looking for? Some schools are really focused on competition, say like some jujitsu schools will focus more on competition or more on self-defense. So if somebody really wants to go compete or be in a karate tournament, and that's really important, then find schools that do competitions. Like our school, for example, we have little wrestling, jujitsu tournaments within our school for our students, but it's very different than a typical tournament. It's more like the whole person type of style tournament to teach people how to perform in a different way, in the optimal way of themselves and their friends and so on and so forth. So the point is the culture of the school. When you go in, does it feel like somewhere that you feel like you and your family or your kids, you would want them to spend time around, as far as the feeling of the space, the feeling of the people that are around there, what kind of overall sense or vibe do you get from the place? So you have the teaching methodology, the teacher, the culture of the school. And then the martial arts. I've trained in so many different martial arts and taught so many different martial arts. And in my mind, when you get rid of all the names, you look at it, there's punching, there's kicking, there's blocking, defenses, there's takedowns, there's wrestling, then there's like weapon work, and then all this applied to self-defense or sport. Now, within those, there's different ways of doing it. For example, years ago, we taught more boxing in our school, and we had big boxing gloves on, we tuck our chin down. There's a reason for all this in this sport of boxing. And we would do that, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, up and weaves, all these type of movements. And it's very powerful for boxing if that's what you want to do in that type of art or sport. Then there's karate styles. We used to teach a lot of Tang Sudo. We still teach them, and that's very snappy. So, for example, you do deep stances, like a horse stance, for example, you work on snappy punches or blocks, and there's that feeling of snap explosion with the blocking, the punching and kicking. So it's very powerful, explosive. And for me personally, after doing that for a long time, it really started wearing down my body. So we still teach it, but more as like a little slice of what we do. So it's much more in balance, I think. So again, you have boxing, you have karate, and then there's, say, Tai Chi. So it's more slow, fluid, circular. A lot of people see this as like a moving meditation or a mindfulness practice. Now, in Tai Chi, all the principles that we're learning, we can apply to martial arts. But if you're talking to me about self defense right now, I wouldn't get into like a karate stance, obviously, and start doing this. That's just not very smart. If you said, okay, let's wrestle or whatever, I wouldn't start doing slow motion Tai Chi. It doesn't make sense. But the principles and the concepts and all can be applied to any martial art, say from Tai Chi. So understanding the different ways of punching, kicking, and blocking. In wrestling, I grew up wrestling. It was sport wrestling where you try to pin somebody down. Now, for the past, I don't know, 30 years or something, we've been doing jujitsu at our school and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's an incredible art. I really enjoy it. It's based on getting somebody in a position, stabilizing the position, and then looking possibly for like arm bars or chokes or joint locks. It's a very popular art today, jiu-jitsu. And Brazilian jiu-jitsu can also be taught in so many different ways. It could be hardcore. Like I did that for a while. I'm very kind of aggressive and tight and all about winning. It can be very cooperative and fluid. It could be all about competitions. It just depends what you're looking for. It could be about how do you apply jujitsu to self-defense and to life. It's a beautiful art and I love it. And I also train in and teach other arts because I feel there are pieces that I would be missing for me if I didn't. So we've gone over boxing, karate, a little bit of jujitsu, as far as the concepts of getting a position, whether you're standing or on the ground, stabilizing the position, and then looking for finishing hold if you're doing those, and then also how to get away from being held down. So these are all great arts. There's a lot of other arts. Aikido, I've been trained a lot in Aikido some, but the idea is using the person's power. It's very circular. And it's a beautiful art. If I just train in Aikido, I would feel like I'm missing certain things. Like I've seen Aikido students who have trained in some of the other arts I train in, they share that. But I think it's an incredible art, incredible philosophy. And for the right person, it's a beautiful art. And if it's the right kind of school and culture, all that. So then there's different like JKD and different arts that try to blend things together like we do as well. So it's really looking at the punching, the kicking, the blocking, the takedowns, and the wrestling. So as far as the main art, that's the foundation for what we do, and I'll tell you why. About 20 years ago, I was still teaching, but I had so many injuries from like kickboxing and jujitsu and just the way we trained. I had just so many injuries. And at some point I was like, I don't think I could do this anymore. My body's trashed and maybe I could still teach, but I don't know if I could train anymore in this way. And then I was introduced to Systema. And Systema really rocked my world because I've done a lot of personal development work. And it was very much about being present and fluid and in your heart and adaptive and all these things. And even though we taught that at our dojo, our martial art movements didn't represent that. And Systema, all of a sudden, it was this movement representation of all the personal development skills we've been teaching since we opened the dojo. And so I was just blown away by this. And I tend to have a faster nervous system and kind of be jumpy and tight. So this way was kind of like rocked my world because it was so opposite of how I was naturally moving and how I was trained to move. So what I can say about Systema is that if you look at the optimal way of moving and breathing and living, it teaches you how to do that. It helps you reconnect to this natural way of moving in your body that's fluid and like water and very adaptive and healthy. My body feels like I'm moving better today and healthier than I did however many years ago, decades ago. And so that's amazing. It's a really incredible art. And it's the foundation to me of movement and of martial arts. Systema and a lot of people that I know train have done martial arts before or military work. So they're very serious in about the work, and it's incredible for them. But it's also myself and some other instructors I know who do teach kids. It's amazing for kids because it's so natural and free, and it almost like connects martial arts and movement with right where they are instead of imposing these techniques on them that maybe are not as natural or even the best things to learn right away. I think it's better to learn how to move first and then put techniques on top of that. So Sistema is an art that I believe in so deeply for myself and for anyone as a foundation to anything, even for other sports. It's helped me move better, and I can apply it to all sports as well. So I've got a little bit off a little bit of tangent on the different martial arts, but then again, in the end, oh, I didn't mention say judo. Judo is like a lot of throws. And again, it's a beautiful art. And there's a lot of these arts have incredible philosophy as well, which is really, really important because it's not just about the movements. So what are the important things we're looking for in martial arts school? The culture, the instructors, the life skills, the personal development skills that are being taught. Like I could speak from my perspective about life keto. We created Life Keto with the foundation being a family friendly personal development system. So that's the foundation of everything we do. And then we built the martial arts on top of that, where it's very common that people are teaching a martial art, like punching and kicking, and then they try to put life skills into it. There's no question people learn focus and discipline and confidence and all that. But again, there's an optimum way of doing things, and personal development skills are optimally learned in a certain way, in a certain environment with a certain teaching methodology. And that's the foundation of what we do and how we've done it. So it's all about each person learning to live from this inner strength, this inner spirit, this adaptive, kind, loving, fluid place, and helping other people do the same. And then when we look at self defense, there's different pieces in self defense. There's just overall inner and outer awareness of being aware of listening to your instincts and feeling if something doesn't feel right, and being aware of your surroundings and knowing how to read people. And then once a situation's happening, how do you diffuse it? How do you communicate with the person? Having good people skills. And then there's distractions. There's all these different things before anything physical. And then when it gets physical, if it does get physical, being adaptive, having an element of surprise, tools and targets is something that we teach, the closest tool, closest target. So again, looking at what is the best martial art, what is the best culture and environment for you, for your family, for your kids? What is the healthiest way of moving? What are the instructors like? What are they role models of? We're all role models of something. What are they role models of? What are the life skills that are being infused into everything that they do? And again, my goal here is to share about martial arts, but of course, I'm talking about life keto too. But our system, like we have a parenting program, we have kids' books that teach these skills, we have grown up personal development books, we have all these different things that are the foundation of human wellness, and then we teach it through martial arts. So it's kind of flipped the equation a little bit. So wherever you are, whether you're in Austin or somewhere else and you're looking into martial arts, ask yourself, what kind of culture am I looking for? What is the teaching methodology that I feel like I would resonate most with for me or for my family? When I go to the place, does it have the vibe that I'm looking for me and my family? And as far as the movement, does the movement feel fluid, adaptive, free, realistic, healthy? I mean, healthy movement's really important. I know so many martial artists, because of the repetitive technical movements and not doing more natural adaptive movements, that are having knee and shoulder and hip replacements. And I know it's common in sports, but I think the question is also like, well, why? Can we do better? And I think we can. I think even if someone's watching this or listening and they teach karate, great. I think teaching karate could be wonderful. And I also think we have to balance it out with softer, fluid movements so our body is not getting too rigid and not putting too much wear and tear on our body. So if you're in Austin, I'd love to have you come down and do a free trial class at our dojo. We work with 3-year-olds through adults. We blend Systema, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We do Tai Chi. We do a little karate. We do a little bit of many arts, but Systema is the foundation of all of it because to me, in my own experience and seeing thousands of students through the years, it's an optimal way of moving and operating that very directly carries over into the real world and everything that we do at home at work, at school. Now, if you're not in Austin, you're looking for school, I would just apply the same things. Go there, get a sense of the culture, of the teachers, try to understand how they teach personal development skills, understand the martial arts, like what are they teaching? How are they teaching it? Is it more self defense? Is it more sport? And seeing if what they're doing is a good match for you and your family. And I do think that if we go by convenience or price or knowing somebody, whatever it may be, there's a chance it may be the right school, but there's also a good chance it may not be. So always look for what is the goal? What are you trying to achieve from this new endeavor coming to a martial arts school, and get clear on that and what you hope to learn from there and what kind of support and teaching you feel like you would thrive in. Okay, thank you so much for being here with me. If you have any questions, I will definitely address them in the comments, and feel free to reach out. And if you're in another town, just check out Systema is a great way to start. Jiu-Jitsu is a great way, but really more than the art, it's going to the school and getting a sense of the culture and the people and making sure it is a good fit for you and your family.